So good morning everyone. Today I'm back again at the first plot where we are piloting the rewilding of an abandoned eucalyptus plantation. And I'm coming with Udo, who is one of our biologist consultants and who is coming today to survey the river in search for aquatic plants. We know there are some species here which are either endemic or even threatened. So today Udo is going to look for these species, and we will wait that he will explain a bit more about this later. Anyway, just for starting and in the follow-up of the first vlog that we did on this project, I would just like to say that for anyone who is looking for more information about this project, you can find a lot more in the project page and the specific project page for the Rewilding Abandoned Eucalyptus Plantations project, which link you can find below in the description of this video. But anyway, I will also try to answer some of the most common questions that we got for that vlog. So here you can see the type of native oak forest that we are trying to restore. And on the other side of the road, it starts to be dominated by eucalyptus, also on the other side of the river. So this is one of the areas where we want to remove the eucalyptus. And this one is actually a very important one because it's right by the river, which is down there. And instead of eucalyptus, we will give space for more oaks and actually other riparian trees.
The water vegetation of River Mira is very important because it's a very rich water flora, a lot of different species, a lot of means 12, 15 species originally of true water plants, submerged living plants were found in this river, and I hope they're still there because this is only maybe 5 years ago that we have made an assessment of the biodiversity of water plants in River Mira, and at this time it was about 12 to 15 different species with water lilies, 2 species of water lilies and a lot of underwater species as we see here. But after these years, end of 2017, 2019, there was a continuous robbery, I have to say, of fresh water in the river. So the dam, which is upstream, blocked much more water for the agriculture industry, so that always less fresh water was in the river. This meant that about 12 river kilometers were invaded by brackish or even salt water, so that the high biodiversity and plants was lost for the moment, in a way that where we had 12 species, we have now only 3 species, which are more or less adapted to this salinity increase, which is due to the situation that always less fresh water runs down the river, and so the sea can deliver a lot of salt water coming from the ocean, because River Mira is a very flat river. This means that even 20 or more river kilometers far from the sea, the tides have a high influence, especially when there is not enough fresh water running down the river. So in the moment we are doing here the next assessment, and even here from the margin I can distinguish only 3 of the 12 different species. Sure, we have to go into the water, but we have seen on another place here at the river that the conductivity, which is in fresh water something between 500 microsiemens to 1500 microsiemens, is now up to beyond 6,000, maybe 18,000. And so the influence of the minerals coming from the sea, especially the kitchen salt, is destroying this freshwater habitat. Let's see mais elegant.
Ai, aqui. So this is an invasive species that we are finding out is going up the river a lot, and Atainha too. And we are a bit concerned regarding this blue crab, Calinectis apidus. It's coming from the east coast of the United States, and it just eats a lot of the native species, just like the endemic freshwater fishes that we urgently need to protect.
We are here at the margin of River Mira, where we see a very special type of vegetation. Due to the fact that the river has an oscillating level which is lifting up twice a day, forced by the pressure of the tides of the ocean, this level goes up and up and up and up and will flood it until here, maybe nearly a meter. And then 6 hours later it goes down and goes to this level where we are here. This means in this muddy edge we have a very special type of vegetation. You see, it's really a continuous cover of tiny little plants. Not a lot of species, only 2 or 3 species which can survive in this situation. And to have something like a margin where fresh water is covering and giving air and water twice a day is a very special ecological situation which is not very common along rivers. And here we have to see which species can cope with this special situation. This apium species here is it's like a reddish you can call it a reddish species. This one we have to see exactly what it is, because this is very specialized on this type of ecological conditions, this tiny one here. And normally the Apium nudiflorum has here much more leaflets. Yeah?
Okay.
So it goes like this, but not only this is repeated until here. So in the moment we have here some very nice water plants. We have here, this one is Myriophyllum spicatum. It's typical for a lot of types of standing and running waters if it's not running too quickly. Then we have here this hairy one. It's Potamogeton pectinatus. It makes very, very long parts of the plant. And we have here a very special one. This is only known from River Mira. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between two Potamogeton species, and this hybrid is called Potamogeton cerulifera. It's only known from River Mira, and it's a combination of two Potamogeton species, parent species, which live here as well. What we see here, it's starting to flower. The genus Potamogeton makes these type of flowers, and you can see here it's starting to release the fruits. The fruits are these carpels, which then swim and find new places where they can grow.
This is another invasive species that we're having in Mira. The Asian, how do I say, amazua?
Mussel. It's a mussel.
Asian mussel.
A mussel from Asian rivers.
So one of the most asked questions was why do we want to take out the eucalyptus from this place, since they are growing trees that seem to be doing great here? Well, the eucalyptus is a tree from Australia, the other side of the world, and it didn't. It was put here by the industry of wood and paper pulp. It's a main industry for Portugal, and Portugal is the fifth biggest producer of eucalyptus, just behind huge countries like Australia, China, Russia, and Brazil. And we are a tiny country, but with a large area of eucalyptus that has been planted in the meanwhile to feed this industry, which is an important part of the economy of Portugal. But this has meant the decline of native forests. And in this case, where we are, we have a very biodiverse type of oakland. Here, this is just an example. But in this land, there's actually pockets of each. And the oaklands from here support a much wider range of species because it's where the native species from here have evolved, both animals and plants. Animals don't feed on eucalyptus, usually some insects, and also many plants don't cohabit with eucalyptus, although some do, of course. But let's say this habitat supports much more biodiversity, and biodiversity that is actually threatened at the moment. There are many species here that are threatened, and the situation is not looking as improving, also in the context of climate change, unless we start to restore and augment the area of these habitats. This is the kind of forest that we want to get to. And on the right side, it's dominated by eucalyptus. And it's one of the places where we want to remove the eucalyptus and give a chance for more oaks and actually other riverine trees, as the river is right below. So another reason why we're doing this is because usually abandoned eucalyptus plantations make up for very fire-prone structures of forests. So plantations are planted in a very high tree density, and then having this vegetation all packed together, it works like a match fire matchbox if there is an ignition or a fire comes in. And in particular, when you have natural regeneration, then this creates a continuity of vegetation, both vertically, as you can see here, and horizontally. There are no gaps of air where there's less fuel, less biomass to burn, and that the fire decreases its intensity. So they are also very hard fires to put down, and they spread very quickly. And then other factors are that eucalyptus do burn very easily. Like you can see here, the reason why it smells so good, the eucalyptus, is because it has some essential oils, and these are very flammable substances in comparison to leaves from, for example, oaks, that are just not as flammable. Also, the hardwood of eucalyptus it burns faster than wood from oaks, for example. And then one thing that firemen say, it's usually a nightmare when there is a fire with eucalyptus, is that these bark peels, they catch fire, and then they can fly up in the air and start new points of fire across hills or wherever. So they multiply the fire. And just to finish off with that, after the fire goes by, eucalyptus is a resprouting species. We also have oaks that are resprouting species because both of these genus in the Mediterranean have adapted to fire, and so they resprout after a fire. But eucalyptus is a very fast growing species, so quickly it outgrows the native species from Portugal, and then it keeps the land on this loop. It doesn't go away. Then after some time we have natural regeneration coming with a lot of native species that will be supporting, and it's fine while they're growing, but then it's again a very fire prone structure, and this repeats and repeats. Also, when we release this land from the eucalyptus, the native species that have been regenerating in the understory can finally have their chance to outgrow and become the main canopy. So that's what we want to do. We want to give a chance for this understory to become, that is now emergent among these eucalyptus, to become the main forest structure. This is an ash, and we don't want to. This project is not about controlling fire, and so someone has suggested that we control the understory. That's what it's done in eucalyptus plantations when the industry naturally doesn't want the eucalyptus to burn, so they don't allow for the understory to grow. Here it's quite the opposite. We don't need the eucalyptus. We want the understory to grow. So that's why we need to remove the eucalyptus from this land, and that is the challenging part of the project. How we can cut down the trees and transport them out of the forest in a low impact way that doesn't destroy these emergent trees that are growing here already. And then also, how can we control the resprouting of eucalyptus in an efficient way that then really stops the species from occurring here, and the native forest will come back. So we will be disclosing a lot more about that in the future. Stay with us for that.